Well, the boys are back in town, back in Chrysler. We'll see if we lose lights this week. They're doing some. They're actually doing some basketball setup out there, so I think we might be able to do a show in the complete, not in complete darkness this week.
Yeah.
Actually, shit, that was 2 weeks ago because I was out sick last week. So anyway, Michigan now 4-0, 31-7. I mean, dude, it kind of felt like the other one. Same type of deal. A little bit slow to start out of the gate. Gave up a big touchdown, but then that was it. Like adjustments after that, Michigan was pretty dominant moving forward on both sides of the ball. And now they're 4-0, 1-0 in conference play. Harbaugh's back. Everything kind of feels normal again. But still the running game, dude, it still just feels a little bit labored. Blake Corum had a great day. I think he was just shy of 100 yards. I think he had 97 yards and 2 scores. But again, Donovan Edwards, not super efficient. And there's times when the offensive line, like it just feels like one of those Michigan plays or one of those Michigan moments where they're going to take over and dominate and move the line of scrimmage. And it's just like not really happening. It's still kind of a weird thing. I don't know. I think that's going to be like, maybe that's just kind of what this team is this year. The O-line's not what we maybe thought it was going to be.
Yeah, I don't know how to explain it. I think it's been good enough, obviously, for Michigan to to be able to be where they're at, which is 4-0, undefeated, all their goals still ahead of them. But I think overall, like this game, I think the biggest thing was, what was Michigan going to look like with Jim Harbaugh back? Were we going to see a significantly different type of Wolverine offense, Wolverine defense? And from my vantage point, now again, it's kind of hard when you're down on the sideline, you're taking a lot of photos, but from my vantage point, it looked largely the same in week 4 compared to what we saw through the first 3 weeks. So I think that answers that question right there, that how much of a difference does Jim Harbaugh's presence on the sideline make, at least in his first week back? Not a noticeable difference. So we'll have to see what it looks like moving forward. But Michigan might just be one of these teams that we've already talked about. They're not going to be flashy. They're not going to put up gaudy numbers. They're going to do what they need to do to be able to get a victory against whoever the opponent might be that weekend. And that's exactly what they've done so far. So I understand there's going to be a lot of people that have an issue with what the halftime score was and how Michigan looked early against Rutgers. But at the end of the day, a win is a win. 4-0 is 4-0. And as long as Michigan continues to take care of business and win on the scoreboard, they'll be where they need to be at the end of the year. And that's kind of where I'm at with it.
And really mentioning that first half, Rutgers had one play. Literally the whole day. It was the one play. Rod Moore came up, took a bad angle, missed the tackle. You give up the long touchdown. Like, that's it. Like, they didn't do anything else. Like, Gavin Wimsatt's stat line, he finished with 180 yards. He got 70 on that one play. So the rest of the game was about 100 yards. Rushing, they only ran for 77 yards total, 3.3 yards per carry. No receivers really popped off. Again, that one guy, Christian Dremel, had 85 yards, but he got 70 on one play.
Yeah.
Donovan Edwards, man.
What was his stat
6
line?
carries, 13 yards. Again, 4 weeks in a row now of Dono just trying to find it.
Yeah.
You see some people in the comments there. He's not seeing the. I just don't. It's been so weird because I just feel like every time he's in and gets the ball, there's just nothing there for him. Or I will say on one play today where he had the edge. He was a little too impatient. A.J. Barner was just about to come up and set the block, and Dono kind of took off and allowed the backer to get off and tackle him right at the line of scrimmage. So he's a little off, man. So far through 4 weeks, again, the running game just kind of in general. I mean, I don't know, dude. You'd be happy with Blake Corum going for 21 for 97 and 2 touchdowns like every day of the week.
Yeah.
But and then Khalil Mullings gets in late, and he goes for 6 for 40. And J.J. McCarthy was a runner today. Yeah. He had 51 yards rushing. So. Yeah, it still is a little puzzling with Donovan Edwards, man. I mean, obviously you look up and it's an easy win, but Dono is like, what the hell's going on? Like he's not loving it. There's no doubt about that. Colston Loveland, a huge day, 5 grabs for 75 yards. Roman Wilson, no score today for Roman. First time he was kept out of the end zone, but he had a nice day, 3 catches for 59. And how about the rookie, man? Samaj Morgan gets his first career touchdown on a nice contested catch. Yeah. Where were you at for that one? Were you down?
I was on the opposite side.
Okay.
Didn't get a good view of it, but saw it from afar. So, I mean, I think overall, they're playing team football. Like it's whoever needs to step up at any given time is going to step up and do what they need to do to help out. I do agree that the Donovan Edwards thing continues to
puzzle.
Be one of the biggest eyebrow-raising things that we're seeing out of this team so far. Because you mentioned it, Khalil Mullings came in late, And I mean, that was tough running. It wasn't like there were big holes. He was dragging 3, 4, 5 defenders along with him. So it's going to be interesting to see how that plays out. But I think the expectation as a fan that we need to set for ourselves watching this team moving forward is you're not going to see flash. You're not going to see SI top 5. You're not going to see that out of this team. You're going to see a team that is just going to fight you. They're just going to punch you. They're going to do body blows. And that's what it's going to be for a full 4 quarters. And at the end of it, like I said, if they continue to win, we're not all going to complain about what it looks like if Michigan, is raising the Big Ten championship trophy, ultimately a national championship trophy. It just feels like, Brandon, at some point you're going to have to see something next level from this team if they're going to go out and compete with, the likes of, I don't know, if Florida State, Texas, some of these other teams that have shown the ability to be explosive. Michigan really hasn't shown that yet.
Florida State in a dogfight with Clemson.
They're in a dogfight.
24 all
with
3 minutes to go. So they have come back to earth a little bit. And that's the beauty of college football. I mean, last week I would have said they're playing better than Michigan. No question. This week, maybe not. I don't know. So
it'll be, it is like, let's say Michigan were to face Texas next week.
Right.
Who is Michigan going to impose their will, and is the game going to be slowed down and play at Michigan's pace, or is Michigan going to have to keep pace with a high-octane offense? And I think that's really what you're going to have to try to figure out with this team. We've talked about this a lot. Unfortunately, there's really not going to be a game that this team plays where they're legit until week 10 when they go to Happy Valley. And that's how long it's going to be until we really find out what Michigan has. So I guess the good news is that they've got plenty of time to get it figured out, especially with Donovan Edwards and some of these other things they want to work on. But the bad news is that we're going to have to wait till very, very late in the season until Michigan plays an opponent that most people deem respectable and on the same level. And they're going to have to go and do it on the road. And so we'll really find out at that point what Michigan's made of. But until then, win, survive, advance, keep doing what you're doing and hopefully get better along the way.
So where do you fall on this, Chris? So Michigan played 59 minutes of scoreless defense. They look like Rutgers literally scored a touchdown at the 14-minute mark of the first quarter. A minute in, 69-yard bomb off a broken tackle. That's all they did in terms of scoring. So Michigan played 59 more minutes after that and didn't give up a point. But also didn't have a sack. Pressured Wimsatt quite a bit. Had the picks, dude. Mikey Sainristil, dude. Holy shit! I don't know much more we can say about the guy, to be honest. Made a huge play. Like, he was already taking the ball back for a touchdown before Rutgers even knew what was happening. Really, that play was incredible. But defensively, obviously, Jesse Minter probably hates that first touchdown so much, considering how well they played the rest of the way. But again, no sacks. Wimsatt, big kid, strong kid, athletic, fast.
He looked impressive. Yeah, man. He made some impressive throws out there. But Michigan is a bend, don't break, and I hate that. It sounds like such a cliche, but they gave up some big plays, but they didn't allow Rutgers to get in the end zone and put points on the board, and I think that's obviously the most important thing. So Michigan's going to continue to have to rely on the defense. It was really, really good to see Will Johnson and Rod Moore, Makari Page, all those guys back in the secondary on the defensive side of the ball. That was nice to see today. And like I said, the schedule allows for this team to have some time, but now we're done with the home schedule for a little while.
Yeah, right? 2 away games in a row.
2 away games. You got to go into Lincoln, which is never an easy place to win. Even though the Cornhuskers aren't that great, they're certainly going to play. They're going to give Michigan everything they've got in that game. And then you got to go on the road and play Minnesota as well for the next 2 weeks. So going to be really interesting to see what this brand of football that we saw through the first 4 weeks, how it carries over into the road games. And the good news is, everybody knows it, defense travels well. Yeah. Michigan's got that. I think they're going to be okay, but there's certainly some things offensively that, I remember last year when they were dominant on the running game, we were constantly harping on wanting to pass more. Now it's just like, I just want to see one of the two, the passing game or the running game, be elite. And really haven't seen that at all yet so far.
I'll tell you a couple numbers that pop out when you look at the defense. Again, gave up 70 yards on the third play of the game or whatever it was, a minute in, and only gave up 257 total the whole day, even including those 70 yards. So that number is very respectable. held Rutgers to 3 for 10 on third downs and 0 for 3 on fourth down. Like that's getting off the field. That's doing your job as a defense. That's giving the ball back to your offense. Michigan, on the other hand, 8 for 13 on third down and 2 for 2 on fourth. So the level of efficiency when you look at both teams, both sides of the ball, Michigan was dominant there. I would love to just sit down and crunch some of these numbers with Jesse Minter and see how he feels about 257 yards. That's not a lot in today's college football, especially, like I said, since they gave up 70 on one play. And then, again, those third and fourth down numbers are really, really good. And that's what allowed Michigan to keep them off the scoreboard the rest of the day. I mean, when you're constantly behind the sticks and you can't convert, and that's because of what Michigan was able to do. They did pressure the quarterback, didn't get home, didn't sack him, but hit him a couple times, made him throw off platform. Dude, that play by Mikey Sanders. So I know you said you don't even know really what happened when we came up here because it's so hard to see down there on the field. And even watching from the press box, everybody was kind of like, "Wait, is this going to stand?" And then you watch the replay, and he caught it super clean. Had to put his hand down because he almost stumbled, but then after that, he just ran out the pack, and there he was down the sideline. So big, huge block by Kenneth Grant on that play. By the way,
yes,
dude turned around and turned into a lead blocker. Big fella was moving, got a key block on Wimsatt that let Sanders still race to the end zone. So I don't know, man. It was all these games so far have been right in the same zone, 30-3, 31-7, 37 to, whatever they've all been. Michigan still hasn't broken 40 points. I was dumb on that one again.
Yep.
JJ McCarthy as a runner today.
Yeah.
Thoughts on that? Because we differed on our opinion coming into this one. I feel pretty smart.
Yeah. Well, I mean, it's certainly I didn't expect him to be a factor in the running game just based on how important he is to the offense, especially considering we're not really sure still who the backup quarterback is at this point. But, yeah, clearly, I mean, what you said he had 50 yards.
51 yards rushing on
51.
Really, he got sacked once, I think, for a 2-yard loss. So he had 53 positive rushing yards on 6 carries.
Yeah.
That's getting it done.
Yeah, I mean, between him and Blake, Khalil Mullings, and if and when Donovan Edwards can get going, they have a lot of options there in the rushing game. It's just,
and I think on 4 of JJ's carries too, he just cruised out of bounds.
Sure,
didn't even get touched.
Yep, so. He did take a pretty good hit out of bounds right near where I was at, and there were a lot of people that were screaming at him to get down. But I just think overall, happy with the result, happy that Michigan's 4-0, but I truly believe we've yet to see them play their best football.
I don't think there's any question.
They haven't played their best football yet. We're 4 weeks into the season, and so I think these next 2 weeks on the road, you get out of Ann Arbor, you get into a different environment, you learn a little bit more about yourself, and then you come back, a more complete team. But there's no question that there is plenty of room for improvement. Even though they're good, even though the record is perfect, there is still a lot of room for improvement, particularly if this team is going to be in the college football playoff and not just play for, but win a national championship. They're going to have to play a better brand of football, I believe, moving forward.
All right, so there you have it. A bunch of good games that night. We're heading home. We're watching Colorado, Oregon. We're watching Ohio State, Notre Dame. We're
Iowa,
watching
Penn State.
Michigan State, Maryland.
Yeah.
Lots of good games on for the rest of the night. I think that's it. I think you see I think Chris just nailed it right there. I mean, Michigan's 4-0, have done it relatively easily, and they still look like they have, 3 levels to the offense. They could just it could just be so much more complete, more balanced, a little more explosive. Again, what was their longest offensive play today? Did they have a real big one on offense? Obviously, Mikey had the long.
Yeah.
Colston Loveland had a 35-yard catch. So, that's, that was their big, again, not really the explosives on offense that we saw sometimes last year in the running game. Roman Wilson didn't get loose for a long one today, but I'm with you, man. I feel like there's a lot still to be untapped with the offense, and at some point, if it all does start clicking, 31-7 could be, 56-7 or something like that. You'd start to think.
We're a third of the way through the season.
That sucks, doesn't it?
It's wild how quickly that happens.
Yeah.
But 1/3 of the way through the season in the books, 4-0. If you just looked at it on paper, every Michigan fan would take that. So let's just hope that the team continues to get better moving forward. Because like I said, they're going to have to get better if they're going to reach the heights that we all expect them to reach. And a lot of untapped potential on that Michigan offense specifically.
No doubt. All right, we will see you guys on Monday night at 7 o'clock as we prepare for the first road game of the season, Michigan traveling to Nebraska next. Are we going, dude? Are we freaking going, bro?
We'll have to talk
It's fluid.
about it.
It's a fluid situation.
We'll have to talk about it.
All right, we'll see you guys on Monday.